Very good morning. Welcome back to the session. I'm Dr. C. Raghavendra, Associate Professor, Information Technology, Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. So today we will discuss protocol layering and its principles. Okay. And basically, protocol plays a very important role. So without the protocol, the communication is everybody say that it's not possible, but it is possible. But the secure communication is not possible without the protocol. So today we will discuss about what is protocol, what is protocol layering, what are the principles. These things we can discuss today. First of all, we need to know what is protocol. A protocol is set of rules and guidelines for communicating data. Okay, so protocol is a set of rules. So we have a lot of definitions we can identify in the internet, or many more books written by the great authors. So among several things, a few are popular definitions I have listed here. So protocol is a set of rules and guidelines for communicating data. That means to communicate the data, there are set of rules are required. So those rules can be defined in this protocol, and the rules are defined for each step and process during communication between two or more computers. Right? So where we can use this protocol? So protocol we are using for transmitting the data from one particular system to another particular system, for right, transmitting the data from one particular system to another particular system in a secured manner. Okay. And another definition, we have a protocol. Like a protocol is a standard set of rules that allows electronic devices to communicate with each other. So in depth technically it is so here the same thing, it is also some set of standard rules, but which allows the electronic devices, right? Electronic devices means maybe you can think that it's a computer or any communicating devices like mobiles or some other things, right? And communicate with each other. And we have another definition called a network protocol is an established set of rules that determine how data is transmitted between different devices in the same network, right? And one more definition is a protocol is a language for communication. A simple and standard meaning in this. A protocol is a language for communication. Next we'll see what is protocol layering. So in data communication and networking, a protocol defines the rules. See, always remember the protocol defines the rules. That is very important. Okay, that both the sender and receiver and all intermediate devices need to follow to be able to communicate effectively. Okay, so obviously protocol we are using for transmitting the data. Okay, so and that should be in effective mannerly and securely. We are going to transmit the data from one device to another device by using some set of rules and guidelines. And the scenarios, so let us develop two simple scenarios to better understand the need of protocol layering, right? So I'll in the next slide I'll tell you we'll discuss about one example. Okay, one a basic scenario we'll consider and we'll discuss. So what happens if protocol layering is using between the communication? Okay, communicating two peoples. Okay, we'll see the example. In the first scenario, okay, we have considered two scenarios here. So in the first scenario, the communication is so simple that it can occur in only one layer, right? So think that there is only one layer. So in this, here is a one person and here is also one person. So they are communicating with each other in simple manner with only one layer. Assume that this is a one layer, and this person A is in some place and B is in some other place. Okay, so here we have considered one names like Maria and Anne, right? So assume Maria and Anne or neighbors with a lot of common ideas. Okay, so think that, so there are two people, and these two people are neighbors, and they have a lot of common ideas. Okay, and communication between Maria and Anne takes place in one layer, that is face to face. So this layer is face to face layer. That means, so there are two neighbors are there, and two neighbors are directly speaking, okay, and directly talking and sharing their own ideas, because they have a lot of common ideas, and they are discussing about those ideas in face to face. That is a first scenario. That is a one way of communication. Okay, that is in the same language as shown in the below figure. I'll show you like this. Okay, so this is Maria and this is Anne. Okay, so this is layer 1. So here there are two operations are there, and here also two operations, that is listen or talk. Okay, when Maria is listen, is nothing but Anne is talking. If Maria will talk, Anne is going to listen what Maria is going to say, right? So this is single layer protocol. Here, what is the layer here? Air is a layer here. They are directly speaking. There is no another technical support is not required here in the first scenario. So that will come under air, no? So even in this simple scenario, so we can see that a set of rules needs to be followed. Okay, so even we think that this is a very simple, because directly we are speaking with many of them regularly, isn't it? So when we are speaking with regularly to some other, okay, and we feel that that is very simple, but in technical, if you observe each and everything, it is not so simple. We will see how difficult it is there. Okay, so first, Maria and Anne know that they should greet each other when they met, isn't it? So obviously, when two people are always trying to share their ideas and discussing their ideas, how their maturity level, how they are communicating, and how they are thinking, and how they are approaching each other. So that's completely different than others. Okay. And second thing, they know that they should confine their vocabulary to the level of their friendship, isn't it? Because they are two are neighbors, they are good friends, and their mindset are very similar, having a lot of common ideas. Okay, so that they confine their vocabulary to the level of their friendship. And the third one is each party knows that the she should refrain from speaking when the other party is speaking. That means, so we have to give a time for when some other people are going to say something, we need to give time to speak them. Okay, and till that we need to listen. Okay, when Maria is speaking, and Anne has to listen what Maria ideas, what Maria is going to say. Okay, and when Anne is going to say something, and Maria has to listen what Anne is going to say, what is the Anne's ideas, isn't it? And fourth one, so each party knows that the conversation should be dialogue, isn't it? So here, face to face means there is no textual messages or some other communication is not going to take place here. Only the face to face directly they are going to speaking, isn't it? So that's why there is only dialogue conversation here, and not a monologue. And both should have the opportunity to talk about the issue, isn't it? So both should not talk at the same time, and one after another they have to talk. Once Maria will talk again, Anne got chance, isn't it? Anne will get a chance to speak about the issues or ideas, right? And fifth one, they should exchange some nice words when they leave, isn't it? So obviously, when we are going to meet professionally, when we are going to meet to some other colleagues or friends, so how we can going to wish them generally? So if morning we can see them, hi, hello, good morning, something. And when we are leaving, so what we say, so nice meeting you, a pleasure meeting you, okay, something like that. We can thanks for great ideas, something we are going to say, something like, isn't it? So in the same way, so people are continuously sharing their ideas and discussing ideas and building their career. So how their vocabulary and their approach and their mindset will be. So obviously when they are going to leave, so obviously they, they are going to give some while leaving they are going to give some nice words. And we can see that the protocol used by Maria and Anne is different from communication between a professor and the students in a lecture hall, isn't it? So in case in that, so protocol used by Maria and is different from communication between the professor and student in a lecture hall, isn't it? So because those two, Mary and Honor, and her neighbors, and those neighbors all are approximately maybe the around same age group, and they are going to share a lot of common ideas. They are going to discuss. Means that their way of approaching and communication is different than a professor and student in a lecture hall, isn't it? So in professor and student lecture hall, how it could be the environment will be like. So when always. A student how they are thinking like this, so what the professor mind is there and what professor is going to deliver the lecture, what the new things we are going to learn. So in this particular mindset the student is having, okay. And so at that time what will happen here, the students are not much aware, are not going to explore their ideas not easily, isn't it? And very rare case they are going to open their mouth and they are going to explore. But whereas in this case, what we have considered in the first scenario, it's Maria and Anne, they are going to be different scenario because they are both are going to express very freely, isn't it? So if it is in that case, definitely the environment of even lecture hall conversation is also going to be very fine. The communication in the second case is mostly monology. That means monologue. So why? Because in the, so what is the second case here? So the professor talks most of the time unless a student has a question, isn't it? So only professor is going to talk in the classroom. So always professor is going to explain there are some technical concepts related to the subject, and even if only unless if any student have a doubt, then only the student is going to raise their voice. Otherwise it's only monologue, only one person is going to teaching continuously, something is going to share their whatever the knowledge is having, okay, that's going to share to all the students. A situation in which protocol dictates that she could raises her hand and wait for the permission to speak, isn't it? So when the professor is going to share their ideas about the concepts or whatever teaching during the teaching tenure, so student is not going to raise their voice directly. First of all, they have to raise the hand, and once the professor will allow them to permit to talk about their doubts, then only the student is going to come forward and they can raise their voice. So in this case, the communication is normally very formal and limited to the subject being taught, isn't it? So obviously, what will happen? So when we are discussing about one particular concept, that is, so obviously, professor is going to discuss about only technical things related to the subject only. So what will happen at the time? So that will be the language and the discussion. Everything will be very polite and limited to the subject only. So even the student might ask any some queries related to the particular topic, so they can the professor will allow them to talk and they are going to discuss about only those ideas. But whereas in the first scenario, Maria and Anne, discussion is in general and broad, right? So then they are going to just discuss about the general things and whatever the issues may arise, everything they are going to discuss. That is unlimited, we can say that this is limited and that is unlimited. On the second scenario, so in the second scenario, we assume that Anne is offered a higher level position in her company. Okay, so in the first scenario, is same Mary and Anne is going to be there, and they are going to just talk about their own ideas and discussing their ideas in face to face. And in the first scenario, they are both are neighbors. But whereas in the second scenario, just I took the same names, Mary and Anne. Here, Anne is offered a higher level position in her company but need to move to the another branch located in a city very far from Maria, right? So only thing is, now Anne is offered a higher level position in her company. So now uh, Anne is working in one very good reputed organization, and Anne is offering a very uh, good position in their company. But the problem is, Maria should not work with Anne in the same branch. They have to divide. I mean, Maria has to work in the different branch that is very far from the city, isn't it? Now, the two friends still want to continue their communication and exchange ideas because they have come up with an innovative project to start up a new business when they both retire. Okay, so how they are always in the first scenario also we discussed about, so they are discussing about ideas, right? So here also, so even though they are busy with their professional life, what they are planning, so they want to exchange their ideas and they have to start a new business, so after retirement. So how far they are going to thinking, and so in that case, genuine case, so we need to accept, how they can communicate very securely, because this is an innovative project they are going to say, isn't it? So if the idea is going to leak, then what will happen? They are going to they cannot able to survive, after retirement. So what their plan is, they have to discuss about the innovative idea and they have to start a new business after when they are retired. Okay, so they decided to continue their conversation using a regular mail through the post office, right? They decided to continue their conversation because their mindset is very close, so that even though they are working in very far away, so they couldn't able to leave and they are going to share their ideas through the post office, isn't it? So however, they do not want their ideas to be revealed by the people if the letters are intercepted, isn't it? So how far we can say that that is secure manner? So for example, Maria is going to write a letter to Anne, and how can we say that that letter safely it is going to reach to Anne? Okay, and sometimes if some people knows that they are going to discuss about a new innovative ideas, and there is a scope is there to get that letter unofficially or unauthenticated. They can take the letter and they can read it, and no need to again send to the Anne also, isn't it? So at that time what will happen, their ideas are going to be leaked by some other people. It's nothing but they are stolen. Some third person is going to be stole their ideas, isn't it? So, however, they do not want to their ideas to be revealed by other people if the letters are intercepted. So they agree that on encryption on decryption. See, this is very important terminology. Please remember encryption or decryption. Okay, encryption or decryption technique, and the sender of the letter encrypts the sender of the letter. That means, so for example, Maria is going to send a letter to Anne, so Maria is going to encrypt the letter. Okay, and I will tell you what is encryption, what is decryption in detail. Okay, so Maria, the sender is going to encrypt the letter, and it to be unreadable by the intruder. What is the intruder? Intruder is nothing but a third person. Okay, unofficially, the intruder is going to take this letter and they are going to read the letter. Okay, and sometimes they can modify. Okay, so whatever they can do, so that is called intruder. You can say that hacker. Hacker is also one intruder, right? So the receiver of the letter decrypts it to get a original letter. Okay, that means, so encryption, decryption. So encryption can be always, remember, encryption can be done at sender side and decryption can be done at receiver side, right? But for the moment, we assume that Maria and Anne use one technique that makes it hard to decrypt the letter if one does not have the key for doing so. And finally, there are so many encryption and decryption techniques out there. And if there is a simple encryption, so there is a lot of scope for intruder to easily they can decrypt and they can read the letter. And they finally what they're going to do. So they plan to encrypt with a very strong algorithms, and only whenever the recipient have a key, then only they can able to decrypt the letter. So after decryption, it is going to be original form. Okay, then only anybody can able to read. So if the key is not there for decryption, they cannot able to read it what exactly the letter have, right? Now we can say that the communication between Maria and Anne take place in three layers as shown in the below figure. Okay, I'll show you the figure. So actually, if you observe in the first scenario, so the Maria and Anne is going to be discussed in a single layer, isn't it? Single layer take place, but whereas here three layers. Okay, the communication between Maria and Anne take a three layers. Okay, so we assume that Anne and Maria each having three missions that can perform tasks at each layer. So we'll see the figure and we will discuss clearly. So this is a three-layer protocol, and whereas here this is Maria and Anne is there. Okay, and two persons are in different places. You just assume like this: two persons are in different places. Now they are not a neighbors. Remember, now they are not a neighbors. So Maria is working in some company in one place, and Anne is working in the same company in a different branch of out of the city. You can say think that. Okay, so now Maria and Anne is going to communicate with each other about their innovative ideas. Okay, so here now Maria is going to transmit a letter. Okay, so how it's going to be handled. Okay, so here Maria is going to talk now. Okay, when Maria is going to talk, Anne is going to listen. Right. So how it's going to be? So now it is plain text here. That means initially it will be the plain text. What is plain text? Plain text is nothing but it's a normal text. Any human being can able to read it. Okay, so that is called plain text. Now we can say that a letter in English. Okay, the English, whoever knows the English, they can able to read the letter and they can understand what the content is exactly in the letter. Right. So that is we can say that a plain text. Okay, and whereas in the second layer it will comes whenever they are going to talk or they are going to send a letter, so it is going to be coming to the layer 3 to layer 2. Now when it reaches to layer 2, what it is going to happen? Encryption. Okay, when encryption will start, the English, whatever the letter Maria is going to type, so that letter is going to be converted into symbols, numerics, and like this. It's going to be a combination of letters, numeric symbols. We cannot able to read it and we cannot able to understand what exactly it is. So like this, it's going to be converted. So that particular non-readable format of text, we can call it as a ciphertext. Okay, after encryption we will get the output as a ciphertext. Okay, so assume that encryption. Okay, now so what is the input here? Input is plain text. What is the output here? After performing an encryption, we will get output is ciphertext. Right. So after ciphertext, again it reaches to the layer 1. Now it is going to send a mail. Okay, so through mail it is going to reach here. Okay, now an system is going to receive this mail. Okay, and after receiving, so it is coming to the layer 2. Okay, now it is already encrypted. Now Anne is going to perform the decryption using a key. Okay, I will tell you what is key and all the things we will discuss in later sessions. You just try to remember so that terms of what is encryption and decryption and all. Okay, and now it's going to perform the decryption. Okay, like this. Okay, now for this, here what is the input here? Input is ciphertext. Clear? Input is ciphertext. Now perform the decryption. Then what is output here? We are getting plain text. Clear? So the plain text is going to read or listen. Right? So like this, a 3-layer protocol will work and provide a secure communication. Encryption and decryption process. So this is very helpful for you to clearly understand what is going to be happen in the encryption and decryption process, right? So this is a sender side and recipient side. Okay, now the sender is going to send a text. Okay, so hello is a message the sender want to transmit to receiver. Okay, so now the sender send hello message. Now encryption with public key. Okay, so in the later when we are going to discuss about the securities issues or information security chapters, so we can deeply discuss about what is a public key, what is a private key, what are the other keys we have. Those things we'll discuss. We just try to remember and understand. So there is some other key is necessary for encryption. Okay, so in this encryption process, okay, by using a key, so we are getting an encrypted text. So this encrypted text we can also call it as ciphertext, right? So how, see here hello is there. Here what is the ciphertext look like? So percentage FD $JH. So there is no one letter at least match to these two symbols. No, these are one word. So in this one word there is no symbol, no character is matched with this encrypted text. Like this it's going to be converted. Okay, and this is going to be reached to the recipient side. And even if any intruder will steal this particular message, the intruder also cannot able to understand what this message exactly, isn't it? So now is going to be perform the decryption at the recipient side. After decryption, with the private key of whatever the public key they have used. No, so for everywhere there is a public key and private key is there. So generally public, with the help of public key we can encrypt. The private key we can able to decrypt the message, and after decryption we can get the plain text. Okay, after decryption we can get the plain text. So the plain text can be read by the recipient. Okay, and this is a public key and private key concept is there. In the later sessions we will discuss. It's very simple. So just in blindly I'll tell you one simple shortcut how to remember this one. So this is a public key is nothing but just think that mail ID. Okay, mail ID is known by everyone, isn't it? So you have a mail ID, then that mail ID is known to everybody, but only you can able to open that mail ID with the help of password, isn't it? So like this, so with the public key is known by everyone across the world. Okay, whoever the user system, they can know that their public key. And private key is like a password. Okay, only the recipient knows this private key. Okay, so if this particular public key related to you, okay, public key is also yours public key, and private key knows by you only. So with the help of public key they can encrypt it only with the help of suitable password. Okay, there is a private key only you can able to decrypt. For example, now the recipient want to send a message to the sender, then what will happen? Now assume that how it look like. See here, now recipient is going to transmit a letter. No, so now first is going to perform the encryption. So recipient is going to encrypt the letter with a key. So whose public key? Now their recipient is using sender's public key. Sender's public key. With the help of sender's public key, they are going to encrypt it. Okay. Now after encryption, they are getting a ciphertext, and this ciphertext is going to transmit to the sender. Okay, and sender is going to decrypt this particular ciphertext with the help of sender's private key. Clear? Like this, we can able to perform the encryption and decryption operation for secure communication. Right? Now the principles of protocol layering. Right? So let us discuss about the two principles of protocol layering. The first principle is going to discuss. It describes that. Dictates that if we want to bidirectional communication. What is bidirectional communication? Bidirectional communication is nothing but two-way communication. Okay, assume that Maria and Anne is there. Okay, so only Maria is not going to talk always. Otherwise, Anne is not going to talk always. Okay, and both are going to discussing, isn't it? So that is two-way communication. We can also call it as bidirectional communication. So we need to make each layer so that it is able to perform two opposite tasks, one in each direction. Okay. See, for example, I hope that everybody, you people knows that walkie-talkie. Okay. So in this walkie-talkie, what will happen? So one person, we can say that generally we can observe this walkie-talkie in hands of police or security people. So here, not more than one people cannot speak at a time. Okay. So if one person is speaking, so the other everybody have to listen it. Okay? Listen it. They cannot able to. They should not speak. Once after completion of the speaking, they simply said that their whatever it's going to telling, so it is once it is completed, they can simply say that it is over. Okay, then another person is going to talk, isn't it? So that is a one way, one directional only. It is going to be support. We can say that it's a simplex, isn't it? Whereas in the bidirectional communication, so both parties can able to talk at a time. They have a two communicate. For example, take a mobile phones or telephone landlines. Okay, so there has a multi or bidirectional communication, that is. So that means two persons can at a time they can speak. Okay, and voice should not collapse, and it's not going to collide with each other. There are two separate lines. One is sender, one is receiver. So there is no collision is going to be taken place here, isn't it? So we need to make each layer so that it is able to perform two opposite tasks. So one in each direction. For example, in third layer task, so is to listen in one direction and talk in another direction. Okay. Third layer means the top layer. Okay. So if you observe in this, the first layer, second layer, third layer. Okay. So what is the third layer here? So talk or listen. Is there no? So one is talking, one is listening. No? So even if both are talking, both are talking also, it is going to be support these things. And in the second layer, what will happen? The second layer need to be able to encrypt and decrypt, isn't it? In second layer, encryption or decryption, right? In first layer, need to send, receive mail, isn't it? Third layer, send or receive. If Maria will send a letter, it just choose the option send. If it is receive the letter from Anne, then it enable the receiver, right? The second principle is, so now first principle is over. Now second principle, see. So the second principle that we need to follow in protocol layering is that two objects under each layer at both sides should be identical, right? So it's a place important. In the second layer that we need to follow it, the protocol layering is that the two objects under each layer at the same site should be identical. Clear? So for example, we see that so the object under layer 3, that means the top, right? Layer 3 at both sides should be in a plain text letter, isn't it? Obviously. So when the sender side or receiver side, whatever you can take. So when it reaches to the receiver side, it after decryption only it's going to be there. And at the sender side, so before encryption, obviously it is a plain text only, isn't it? In layer 2, both sides should be the ciphertext. Clear? So in second layer, what will happen? So after sending a letter, it will be encrypted, then it will be in ciphertext mode. The receiver side also, after receiving the mail, so immediately how it look like? It look like in a ciphertext manner only. So that in layer 2, both sides should be ciphertext. So the object under layer 1 and the both sides should be a piece of mail, isn't it? Because in the layer 1 there is only transmitting or receiving the mail, so it is a just piece of a mail. Thank you. And so today we'll in this session we discuss about what is protocol, what is protocol layering, what is the principles. So with a very good example, we have discussed about the how the communication is going to be taken place, and what is a single layer protocol layering, and what is 3-layer protocol layering, what is encryption, what is decryption, how the what is ciphertext, what is public key, private key, isn't it? These are all the many things we have discussed so far. And thanks for watching. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.